Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, James.
Oh, God. There's so many birds outside.
Are there?
Oh, God. How did you even manage to get past them?
I mean, I've been here since, early, 5 o'clock.
Oh, my God. I don't even want to think about it. Like, you know, I can't blame you too much because it was your first week, but that game that we came up with last week, it is pandemonium outside. Well, it'd be pandemonium if they were pandas, so I guess it's more like birdemonium outside.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Why,
Oh,
what
God.
happened? What happened? What, did they not like it?
What do you mean, what happened? Have you not seen all the news?
No?
Literally, birds across the country are revolting because of our bird game.
Oh. Did they not like it?
Hold on, let me bring up Twitter, which is obviously the main bird communication
of
platform.
course.
Right, let's have a look at some of these comments. So, first thing, this game doesn't represent me or my species at all. This is like a weird non-bird game at all. If anything, I feel like they just put birds in it in order to sell it to other birds. I don't understand why they put a robin on the cover when there's all other sorts of birds as well. There's penguins and ostriches. That one was from Penguin Ostrich Lover.
Oh, don't read the next one. That's got some choice language in it. I didn't think birds use that sort of language.
Well, maybe they didn't have to until that game came out. So.
Oh, we shouldn't have taught that in the game, should we?
No, we shouldn't have. Well, I've had the morning from hell trying to get into work.
I'm thinking we could have done some more research then.
Yeah,
on birds.
I was thinking maybe we could have done some more research. So, if you give me a minute, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to try and pick these bird eggs out of my hair, try and gum up some of the bleeding where they've pecked me, and try and forget that this whole thing ever happened. Oh, by the way, here's all the hate mail that we've got. If you can try and go through it and see if there's anything worthwhile.
None of this looks great. Hate mail. Ooh, coupon. Hate mail. Oh, James. This one's from the boss.
Oh. He never usually sends a letter. What does it say?
Okay, let me just... Dear boys, I'm playing Scrabble and I am only using video game titles to win. Unfortunately, I've come across the letter X, which has a triple point opportunity nearby. So I'm going to need you to come up with a game that begins with the letter X, so I can crush Peter Molyneux. Time is of the essence. Please get back to me ASAP. Love, the boss. So, is he still playing Scrabble?
Well, he did say time was of the essence.
Yeah, okay.
Alright, let me bandage my face up and...
I'll brew up a quick coffee.
Make a big... Yeah, you make a big pot of coffee and let's do this thing.
Alright.
Hi, welcome to the Game Overtime podcast.
Yes.
Do we say podcast or do we say...
Well, probably not, but we actually have a name for it this time, which is good.
No, we do, absolutely. We're no longer using a gappy name, which we didn't even put a robot voice or something to say that it was the Game Overtime cast.
We just said, welcome to podcast.
Anyways, who's this voice? This voice is James, and who's the other voice?
Oh, that one's Ben.
Oh, hi Ben, how's it going?
I'm great, kinda.
Oh, okay.
The birds, demoralizing.
Oh no, absolutely. Those, I've only just managed to mummify my head in bandages to stop the bleeding from happening, but I don't think that should get in the way of today's prompt, which is come up with a game that begins with the letter X. So,
X is an interesting letter. I've thought about it, and there aren't many words that start with the letter X.
I feel like there should be more words that start with the letter X.
Yeah. But saying that, I do have a printed list here, and there are lots that I have just never heard of. There are a lot of them.
That is very true.
I think many of them might be word made up, though, because we've got Zerically. Zilladin's Xeroxed? No.
I feel like a lot of these words we won't be able to pronounce either, but that's okay. I think that we can just have a look at what the words look like and try and guess from there what maybe they mean.
Yeah, and we also have I've got some other words, like normal ones. I'm pretty sure I know what those mean.
Well, so let's think about it. So the letter X, let's go back to where it all began.
What is the first thing you think of when it comes to the letter X?
X-rays.
Okay. Yeah. That's
So what are we thinking? Are we thinking, say, you play as a man with X-ray vision? You walk around the world, and you're in a world that's full of skeletons.
Okay, so not kind of... So they're proper X-ray vision, because you see sometimes when people have X-ray visions in, like, media, it just means they can see through people's clothes, which isn't actually how X-ray vision works.
I don't think there's any vision that works like that.
No.
If there was, I feel like I would know about it.
Yeah, I mean... But you could
Superman.
do a lot of gameplay things with X-ray vision.
I feel like you could as well, but I also feel like there's a lot of things that you couldn't do with X-ray vision. So, for example, if you were trying to figure out a way to get out of your house, well, some stuff might be a bit too thin. So you might end up smashing into walls, or like your skeleton hands bump into stuff, like you can't pick it up properly.
So this is permanent X-ray vision, right?
That's a good point.
That would be interesting though. Like you could have, it'd be an interesting limitation to put on the player.
I think it would be too. I mean, obviously,
really
Metroid Prime gives you the option between having normal vision and X-ray vision, but I don't feel like that was challenging enough.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy playing with X-ray vision, but you know, maybe if the game forced me to,
I feel like that as well. I mean, the Metroid games, their point is that they're always meant to be a little bit scary anyways. I've never felt like that in most Metroid games. I'll tell you what would make me feel like that, though. If all the enemies were skeletons.
Yeah.
Even alien skeletons, even like the Metroids that don't actually have any bones to speak of. If they were skeletons, I feel like that we'd be competing with the likes of Silent Hill if that happened.
But the thing is, like, would there be enemies where you could X-ray and then you just can't see the enemy anymore because it's see-through?
Here's my thought with enemies. So say that you go up to a space pirate and he's grouchy because the space pirates are always grouchy.
Mm-hmm.
But you put on your X-ray vision and it turns out that actually he's just fractured his femur from playing soccer with his mates. So if you warn him about this and then he goes to the doctors and they like patch him up, then maybe the guy will be like, you know what, Samus, you're not a bad gal. So tell you what, I'll let you onto the ship. Don't tell anyone. But if you can help them with their bone related problems, then I don't see why that should be an issue.
Samus then went on to blow up the ship.
Well, yeah,
he slightly regretted it.
Well, you say that, but what if the ship is made out of lead? How would she know where the best place to explode it would be? That's where the challenge is.
Though, could we turn this X-ray game into a doctor game? You have to examine your patients, and by patients I mean your world. You're just walking around town. You see someone, and you see their elbows kind of out of place, so you take a closer look, and then you have to stealthily get it back into place without them noticing.
So what are we thinking? Like a GTA game where instead of causing harm, you're there helping people's bones into place? So are we thinking like a high score driven thing where there's like Crazy Taxi, you're running up to different people who have all got bad bones and you're trying to fix them as quick as possible?
I think it would be fun though if there was a stealth element. You had to do it without being seen.
I would agree with that. Like if say they piped in the stealth music from Ocarina of Time, but you're there like trying to realign people's bones, I think that'd be quite good. But obviously whenever they catch you, they blow a whistle at you, like in Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if they notice you after you've done it. Like that's not fair. If you use a baseball bat to fix it.
I think if they notice you after you've done it, they break their bones again in spite.
Well, then you've got a real problem, because how do you make it so they don't notice their bone has been fixed? They're crippled. They're on the floor. How do they not notice? Oh no, I'm standing again.
Here's my thought. Here's our other big X word. Xylophone. People love xylophones. If you're there playing if somebody is there distracting them with a xylophone, you could be there X-ray visioning them and realigning their bones.
So we could do a co-op game where one player is the xylophoner and the other player is the X-rayer.
Imagine it. You go into your local game, you see Halo 6, whatever, Uncharted 5, who cares? Xylophone and X-ray. I'll buy 2 copies, one for me and one for me. Thank you. Put those both through both of us. Put them through the till.
A Way Out was a big hit. I don't think we should sell it as one game because that's not a great money-making opportunity and the boss wouldn't be happy.
No.
But A Way Out was a big hit, this co-op game where you've both got to cooperate and do different things.
We do it like Pokemon. We have
another Pokemon
X-ray version, Pokemon Xylophone version. Mm-hmm. You can only help certain people in one version. You can only help some people in another version. But if you come together...
It would be good if you could get to almost the end of the game and not be able to beat it because you don't have the other version. Because then people can't return it at that point because they played too much of it. And we're not going to lose any money.
We'd have to set up some kind of paid matchmaking service to help people who have X-ray version to meet up with xylophone version.
Yeah. And if we place the hurdles at the end of the game, not only can they not return it, game critics aren't going to play that far, so they're not going to warn anyone. They're not going to be like, oh, you're actually going to need both versions to beat this game.
At that point, they've already given it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
They can't give it another, you're not opening a copy of Edge and they're giving someone an 11 out of 10. That doesn't happen. But they're definitely giving it a 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
So, but let's talk about the xylophone for a second.
Yeah, xylophone hero.
So, already I'm thinking, you see X-rays and you see skeletons. I always think, whenever you see Bugs Bunny playing a cartoon skeleton, that always has a nice marimba xylophone style noise. Is there any way that we could combine these two together? Could we have, say, if you're playing Trauma Center and you've got somebody's rib cage open and you're trying to slow down their heartbeat, you could play on their ribs like a marimba in order to kind of slow their heart rate down. I think that'd be pretty cool. Especially if it was on the Wii, because you could use both. You could use the Wiimote and the nunchuck to do that.
This could be a VR game.
It could be a VR. It should be a VR game, I think.
What if you had to do surgery in front of a crowd of people, and you had to balance actually saving this person's life with entertaining the crowd with your amazing xylophone skills.
I quite like that idea. Could we also turn other parts of the body into instruments?
Oh, yeah.
Could you squeeze the lungs and they're a bit like an accordion? Could we drum? Could we use the small intestine like a saxophone?
You have to adjust the heart rate so that it plays
raises
the drums.
The tempo of the song.
Yeah,
absolutely. When the party's kicking off and when they want the proper high beats per minute stuff, that's when you have to get the heart rate off in order to get the speed going.
And then you got to shut off their heart for the bass drop.
Oh,
just temporarily. But if you keep it off for too long, the bass drop will be better and everyone will be really excited about it, but you might kill your patient.
What would we call Dr. DJ or something? Where there's 2 high score systems, one which is for actually saving patients, and then one which is for entertaining the crowds.
Yeah. Unfortunately, one of those has a cut-off point where you just go from 50 points to 0 in a single blow, and that is you killing your patient because you spent too long entertaining the crowd.
In fairness, is it worse to kill a patient or is it worse to kill the mood? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's a moral dilemma that I'm pretty sure people have been fighting with ever since the 1940s. Nazi America.
Well.
America? No, Nazi Germany. But yeah, I think this game is good. I'd love to play it.
Put it on the maybe pile. For one thing, it doesn't begin with a letter X, but I think it's... Maybe if the boss ever sends us a letter to do with, could you make hospitals fun, I think this could be the game that we pitch him.
Oh, of course. And I think we could just skin, possibly, Guitar Hero into Xylophone Hero.
Oh, I think we absolutely could as well. All right,
We
so
get
first
we
things
get some
first.
new controllers.
What are some famous xylophone songs? Because the only one I can think of is like children's nursery rhymes, which is okay, but I feel like we could do something a bit more advanced than that.
Well, I mean, it depends on how difficult you want to make it. If you want to go hard, then just have like some metal xylophone music playing.
Could we have Dragon Force on the xylophone? Is what we're saying. Metallica on the xylophone.
I don't see why not.
I also don't see why not.
Has anyone invented the electric xylophone yet? And could we?
I imagine, yeah. I imagine you could probably just put some pickups on a xylophone, and that should do the trick. But I'm not quite sure how an electric xylophone would. Actually, I don't know. I suppose you could do it like, you know, those maze games where you have to get the bit of wire to the end, but if you touch any of the sides, it buzzes. Well, we could have that, but it's like, so the keys themselves are electrified, and your batons are like, they'll connect a circuit. So depending where you hit your baton, that's how you get a different noise.
Okay, yeah, that could work. I mean, the thing is, we're talking real life application now, which is good, but I don't think the boss is going to give us a pay raise if we keep talking about it.
We could build a game around this, though.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're not just building a game, we're building a platform. A platform for learning, a platform for education, a platform for creativity.
Yeah,
so,
the educational game went really well last time.
Yeah, let's not let's not talk about that.
Yeah, let's just move on.
Yeah. But I don't know, so let's have a think. So you're playing an electric xylophone. I mean, what is this, like the future? I'm assuming because it's a future invention, is it going to be set in the near future?
I guess so. I think xylophones will really hit their peak popularity in like, I don't know, 40 years when people finally appreciate this beautiful instrument.
I mean, in fairness, I always think the yo-yo always makes a comeback every 15 years. Same with scooters. So eventually the xylophone will make a comeback. So what I'm thinking is, 200 years in the future, let's look at what BioWare did with Mass Effects and with those sci-fi based RPGs, but you're not communicating with aliens in the standard way using talking and shooting and all that stuff. You use a xylophone to communicate with them.
Yes. Oh, kind of like Spore. Like, Spore had a mechanic where you had to sing to other races to actually communicate with them.
There we go. Spore had the right idea. So I'm thinking, you know, you have the old-fashioned Mass Effects. One of the members of your team, they're disgruntled with another member of the team because they don't quite like their hot-headed attitude. They know that they've got a mission to stick to. And basically, they want you to mediate this situation, but you just come up there and you're like,
you just played this great xylophone ditty, and
exactly.
everyone's just forgotten their past woes.
Yeah, exactly.
One guy had a broken leg, and he's just forgotten about that, and he's walking again.
Oh yeah, but that's because he was distracted by the xylophone, because somebody else then went and x-rayed him and fixed his leg. Exactly.
You just don't get to see that part. But it's happening in the
well, that's
other
because you haven't got
the
the game. If you had both games, you would understand.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
Well, the xylophone is great, and I think there's a lot we can do with it. But let's move on for now. Have you got anything else? Oh, sure. I'll take one from the list. So let's just pick a random word. We've got xylos. XYLOSE.
Xylos.
Xylus.
I feel like that's probably something quite important. Might even be something quite scientific. But what if that was the name of our main character?
Xylos.
John Xylos.
Well, did it have to be John? Couldn't it have been Tarragon? Xylos.
Tarragon, like the spice.
No.
I'm sorry. You've got me going now. So here we go.
It's a spice
Tarragon
game.
Xylos.
It's a cooking game.
It's a cooking murder detective game.
Okay.
You have to solve a crime, but you also have to cook food at the same time. Because I feel like, because if your first name is Tarragon, then that probably means that you're into your spices. well, if your surname's Xylos, that probably means that you're an alien. So I guess you're an alien detective chef. So are you trying to cook stuff to... So you know how, like, in spy films, they always give people... I can't remember, it's like sodium bicarbonate, but it is basically just truth serum. But you're trying to make that as a food.
Okay.
So certain people will react to... certain people are more likely to have the slip of the tongue if you cook them with a lot of garlic in it or a lot of chili.
Could you be a really shit detective? You're not very good at solving cases, but you are great at cooking forged evidence.
Ooh.
That you can plant around the place that you're investigating.
You bake the murder weapon.
Yeah.
It's like a cake, but it's like a big old sponge cake. But you've put marzipan on it and try to make it look like a pistol.
Yeah, and you've got to plant this evidence under the nose of all the like literally nose, because they will smell this good cooking. You've got to plant it under the nose of all the police investigating the scene.
Well, I assume you probably want to do something a bit sausagey as well, because they'll probably be using like police dogs and stuff. So the police dog, because with most police dogs,
as a distraction as well.
Yeah, so most police dogs, they're programmed first and foremost to look for anything contraband, but sausages or any kind of meat product, that'll just override a dog. They'll go for that first. If you're hiding 10 kilos of cocaine under your bed, doesn't matter. If you put a packet of bacon in the side of the room, that's all the dogs want to care about. So what I'm thinking is, we could do it tactically. We could do it like a tower defense game, where you're trying to attract dogs into certain parts of the map by putting strategically placed meat products to keep them away from where the evidence is.
Yeah.
I think this could work pretty well.
Yeah, and we just titled the game Xylos, which will be a very inaccurate representation of what the game is.
I feel like Xylos as well is a bit of a 90s, like Kuji the Heartless or something like that, where you'd see it on a big PC box with an IDOS logo in the corner. So it needs like a subtitle, like Xylos Fists of Dukaga.
Food.
Yeah, Fists of Dude.
And I think we need to visualize what Xylos actually looks like. I think that's a very important part of the game.
I kind of imagine him looking like, very early CG characters where they're really like blend out, like they've got giant highlights on them and they look kind of rubbish and plasticky, like that. But he's kind of like almost looks a bit like the guy from Soul Reaver. He's like a blue skeleton man with a face mask on, but he also wears a chef's hat. Now,
I just want to... We can segue as well, but I just had an image in my mind. What if he was a xenomorph and he was wearing a chef outfit?
I quite like that.
And xenomorph is another word that begins with X.
Xenomorph is another word that begins with X. That is very true. So is this now becoming a xenomorph cooking game?
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why not.
I'm just having a think, because the things the xenomorphs have got going for them is they got the little mouth inside their mouths.
Yeah.
So what if it was like a dating game with dialogue options?
Oh, good.
But your little mouth has its own set of dialogue options.
And are you dating your mouth, or no? That's not.
No. Here's what I'm thinking. You're on a date with another xenomorph.
Okay. Or anything.
You're on a date with a xenomorph queen, because there's always ever one female in the pack.
Well, surely she's like the final boss. You don't really get final bosses in dating games, I'm pretty sure.
I feel like what it would be, they would be different kinds of queen. I was going to call them Queen Metroids, but that's not what I meant. We
could have the Queen Metroid in there as one of the. We could have the Queen Metroid.
The Metroids are based on the xenomorphs from Alien anyway, so that works.
Yeah, they don't look much like them, but they tried.
Well, for legal reasons, no, they do not look much like them. That is very true. But what we could do is we could have like different color-coded ones. So you start dating one who has a red bow in her head. So because obviously they wear bows, so you can tell male and female, like Pac-Man. And then like in karate, they go up, so it's like a blue bow, and then it's a brown bow, and then it's a black bow, and then eventually you head up to the queen alien, who has 2 bows, and she's like twice the size of all the other ones. But here's what I'm thinking with the dating, is that you're trying to smooth talk her, and your little mouth is trying to smooth talk her little mouth. So it's a bit like we've got 2 coherent dating games going on at the same time, and you're trying to charm both of these little mouths.
And you're playing them simultaneously. You have to balance, like, choosing your options. These options aren't just, you get any time to choose, like Ace Attorney. No. You get no time to choose. You get, like, 5 seconds to pick an option, because the queen is not patient.
Exactly. And what I'm thinking is the date starts off, you're both in the same places, but then because the big mouse and the little mouse have different personalities, they'll go off on their different dates. So the big mouth date, they'll go to the park and feed the ducks and stuff, but the little mouth date, they'll like go to the disco and go for drinks and stuff. So you're trying to split your attention between 2 completely different game scenes, like in What Remains of Edith Finch with the fisherman, where you're cutting the fish heads on one side and it's like an RPG on the other. You're trying to keep these 2 plates spinning as much as you can in order to...
And I've got this image in my head now, because these do have to come out of their mouths. You're a xenomorph, you're in the park with your lady friend, and your mouth is constantly open, and it's just got this long black thing going off just off screen, and just on the other end you've got like the black thing coming onto screen, and it's just having a good time with another xenomorph mouth thing.
Exactly. I can't see this not working.
No.
Personally, I could see this being both really easy to program and really easy to visualize as a concept.
I mean, I think we could give it physics as well. That'd be good.
Because obviously the tongues are extended across town, like maybe they're tripping people over, like people are walking straight into them.
You need 3 screens to play this game, by the way. One screen, you've got the mouths. One screen, you've got the like middle bits of the mouths, and they're just causing havoc everywhere, getting tied up. Sometimes you might accidentally run into something, and you've got to somehow watch out for that, because...
Why did Nintendo never make the 3DS? The free-screen DS? Did they ever make a console called the 3DS?
No, not that I can recall.
No, neither can I. I mean, I could see how you could maybe use that name if it had, like, I don't know, like a parallax-based 3-dimensional screen, but I don't know, I think that kind of sends the wrong message, personally. But if it had 3 screens on it, I would have called it the 3DS, and I think this game would work perfectly for it.
Yeah. So, that's good. And you could always have the babies stuff.
Oh no, that's your high score. Is how many babies that you have at the end of the round is how well you did. That's my thought.
Now listen to this. The babies have got me thinking about XXX.
Triple X.
Triple X.
Like the famous film starring Vin Diesel as the titular character, Xander Cage. Triple X.
That wasn't what was on my mind.
But now it is.
And now it is on my mind. I haven't seen this movie.
Vin Diesel also looks a bit like a baby.
He does, a bit.
You say a bit, but what I think you meant to say is a lot.
He does a lot.
I mean, I saw him in that film, The Pacifier, and I was expecting him to be the person who was pacified, not to be doing the pacifying. And let me just say, I have never been happier to get my £10 refund from seeing that film.
So he wasn't doing that then?
No, he was not, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is a shame. Like, so many movies are falsely advertised these days.
No,
but
I know.
You're going to have to tell me about Triple X. What was that about?
So, the film Triple X, basically how it works is that... Have you ever seen a James Bond film?
Yes, one of them.
Would you like a James Bond film that is more focused on extreme sports?
Oh, yeah, of course.
In that case, then, can I heartily recommend to you Triple X. Let me set the scene for you. My favourite scene in all of films, but mostly my favourite scene in Triple X. So, Triple X, played by Vin Diesel, who's playing a character called Xander Cage, he pretends to be a busboy at a hotel. And I believe he's a senator or something, who basically he wants to ban skateboarding. He's like, oh, I don't like skateboarding at all. So he's become Vin Diesel's enemy. So he's like, oh, I'm going to show him. So what he does is that he steals this man's Ferrari and then drives it off. And then the police are chasing after him in the Ferrari. Meanwhile, we cut back to the Ferrari and he's cutting himself a video promo where he's like, this guy, he's a bit of a butthead. So I'm going to drive his Ferrari and see what happens. And so then he drives towards the bridge, and you're like, oh no, what's going on here? Drives off the bridge, and you're like, okay, what? And he's driving off the bridge, and he's still there, and all the music's like building up, and it's like violins and...
I'm getting tense just thinking about this.
It's like a James Bond film, but here's the twist.
Okay.
He jumps out of the Ferrari and he's got a parachute, and that's when the music kind of builds up. Like that's when it has when it drops for a moment, like it's going to build up to something, and then the Ferrari explodes in pipes, drowning pools, letting the bodies hit the floor. That film has defined. I feel like that moment has defined cinema for me going forward. It's like when people saw colour in The Wizard of Oz, or saw what space looked like in 2001: A Space Odyssey. Seeing the Ferrari crash into the floor while let the bodies hit the floor plays while Vin Diesel is parachuting and everyone's catching this on camera. This is it's why cinema is called an art form.
Now I know you're saying about all this cool stuff that was happening. The bit that stuck out to me was how this one senator did not like people skateboarding. What if we had a game that was like Skate 4, but instead of being Skate 4, and we could call it XXX, Triple X, whatever, doesn't really matter. It's based on that film anyway. We can get away with it. We have I think we can. No Skate 4. You go around and you have to stop people from skateboarding by any means.
So you play as the senator and you're trying to stop people from skateboarding.
Mm-hmm. You can go over, you can hit them off the boards, you can pour cement on their skateboarding places. You do all sorts of things to stop them from skateboarding. I'm kind of imagining
this like Hitman, where you're trying to engineer different ways to trip people up.
Yeah, you
but
can't
it's
kill
all
them.
in the means of stopping people from... It's basically like the opposite of Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
So, it's still got the Tony Hawk Pro Skater soundtrack, blasting through. So we got, Goldfinger's Superman and...
Could we play the soundtrack in reverse? All the songs are backwards.
Play it in reverse and play it slowed down so it sounds really melancholic and really sad. And rather than the timer going down from 2 minutes like in Tony Hawk, it counts up from 2 minutes, and then when it hits 0 it starts going into the minus numbers. And when it does that, maybe the world starts going back in time as well.
Okay.
So your trick is to try and stop people from skateboarding up until the point that you get to the invention of the skateboard and you stop it from happening.
So, yeah, you just... the harder you fight back against this menace that is skateboarding, the further in time your character goes back until you can finally destroy the origin of skateboarding itself.
You can destroy John Skateboarding.
Yeah.
The man who invented skateboarding. The Victorian who looked at a piece of wood with some wheels on it and said, well, I thought this would be something that we could use for eating. Unfortunately, it's not very edible, but it is very fun to ride around on. I will call it a skateboard after myself.
What you do at that point, well, it's up to you. Do you want to kill the guy? Probably not. You're not going to get a great score for that. You're just going to destroy his invention or just stop him from ever seeing it. Who knows? It's up to you.
You could change his mind. It could be like in Dishonored. You can either kill them or you can go to the effort of changing his mind and you can say, John Skateboards, don't invent such a terrible invention. here's some other inventions that you could invent, and like you give them a list of stuff like iPhones, Walkmans, synthesizers, like all stuff in the future. Yeah, smartphones. Yeah, exactly. All stuff that he could invent. And he goes, you know what? These are all much better than a skateboard. So, and then you go back into the future, and then suddenly mobile phones are called skateboards. So.
Oh, there's the coffee alarm.
Yep, I suppose it is. So let's take a quick break. Hello, welcome to Coffee Break. This is a few minutes of the podcast where we break from the idea that we're coming up with and just talk about kind of whatever we're feeling about.
Yeah.
So,
I just like to quickly say first off, can you please, if you want to, we're not forcing you to, but it'd be nice, leave a review on iTunes. I don't know why it helps, but apparently it does.
The more reviews that you can leave on our podcast, the more that it will push it in the search results.
Good ones.
Yes. No, the more that you leave good... I even think even if you leave bad ones, it still kind of...
But
it still pushes you to the top. But obviously don't leave bad ones anyways, because that makes us look like a bad podcast. But
yeah. I mean, the way Apple already... I've learned that the way Apple displays reviews is stupid. It only displays the reviews from your region.
Really?
Yeah, so, at the moment it looks like we have no reviews, but I know we have one review from Canada, which is great. But unless you're Canadian, you'll just think, oh, this podcast has no reviews. No. So, the more reviews we get, the better.
Yeah, and obviously we're not going to beg for reviews or anything like that.
No.
Obviously, naturally, we just want you to leave a review if you enjoyed the program. However, what I will say is that whoever can get the 10th review in on this episode can win 5,000 V-Bucks for Fortnite.
Yes.
So keep that in mind.
Conditions may apply.
Yes.
Anyway, a week and a half ago, or 2 weeks, when this podcast goes out, it was E3.
Yes, it was. It was that special time of year again. Christmas for video game announcements taking place in California, as it always does, in the wonderful whatever E3 center. I can't remember what the center's called, but it's the one that they use every year for E3.
The E3 Center.
The E3 Center. The E3 Epicenter.
And they announced video games.
They did. Ben, was there any video games in particular that they announced that you would say that you are excited for?
I'll leave my favourite till the end because, well, I don't know, that builds anticipation.
No, absolutely.
The first one that stuck out to me, though, I mean, Unravel 2, I thought looked really good.
Shadow dropped there and then.
Yeah, that was clever. I never played the original Unravel, but I think it looked cool, and it's nice to see them supporting it.
Yes, I would say so too. Unraveled 1 is pretty fun. It's like it's a puzzle platformer kind of thing. The thing that it has going for it is that it looks really good. It's a slight step up from, say, Yoshi's Woolly World, where everything is knitted in that, but this is sort of knitting but put in hyper-realistic environments, which I suppose just gives it a little bit more of a pop.
That was the bizarre thing at the start of the Unravel 2 trailer, where it's like, oh, you're out at sea, there's a storm.
Yeah, it looks like Uncharted. It looks like Uncharted 3 when you fall off the boat.
It pans down, and there's Yanni.
Yes, our boy Yanni. I feel like more games should do that. I would like to see the next Kirby game where him and his enemies all look like cuddly Kirby characters, but then it's set in like just a war-torn country.
Yeah.
I think
that more games like that, please.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
And EA also showed off Sea of Solitude, but I thought it was really cute hearing her talk about the game, and
yeah,
I think it's promising. We didn't see much of it though, so it's not much to say.
Yes, but keep that one on the radar.
But then they should Command & Conquer's Rivals.
Yes, they should show off a Command & Conquer game where I'm like the only person who kind of was like, oh, okay, that seems pretty good.
I mean, it's just the demo that I couldn't get behind. Yeah. The 10-minute match they showed.
Oh, wow, yeah, no, that kind of put a dampener on the entire conference. slowed everything down to a massive halt. Watching people, it's like when somebody buys a bit. It's like when somebody brings a video game over your house, but you can't play it. You have to watch it, but for 10 minutes for a game that looked like the most excruciating thing to watch, unless you were playing it yourself.
With announcers making it sound like it's the best thing ever.
I still don't feel like that announcer is much of a patch on the Darwin Project guy that they had.
Come on, you got to appreciate that guy's enthusiasm. That was great.
That guy sold me on the game. I haven't played it yet, but he has sold me on the game.
Yeah, EA's came and gone.
Speaking of the Darwin Project, the Xbox Expo, there were quite a few big games announced there.
And no cars on stage.
No, that was very surprising. I was expecting a Porsche 911 GTR to come on stage and explain all the changes that were coming to Forza.
They still spent the most of the time. Like the biggest one demo they had was on Forza. It felt decently deserved this time.
No, I did. I thought it looked quite good. It was a harrowing look at post-Brexit Britain, with where only cars roam the roads.
And fun fact about Britain, we're the only country to have seasons.
That is well. I mean, that is kind of what Britain is famous for. So, I mean, this should be the game that introduces them.
Mm-hmm. But Ori was the big thing for me, other than the other game I want to talk about later. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Yes,
I played Ori for the first time, Ori and the Blind Forest this year, and I really enjoyed it. It kind of reminded me of back in the XBLA days on the 360, that there was always kind of a very good Metroidvania game that came out every year. So one year it was Outland, another year it was Shadow Complex, another year it was it's always something that works really well on XBLA, and I think that Ori and the Blind Forest is probably the best one on the Xbox One. It looks really good, and just its main bash mechanic is like one of the best things like in games.
It's so good. Like they made movement just really fluid and fun, and the bash mechanic is just.
It's like somebody wanted to combine a platformer with the slingshot stuff from Angry Birds, and it just works really well.
Yeah. And then you just got, like, the visuals are just so impressive. And from what we've seen of the Will of the Wisps, you've got, like, loads of new abilities, which I'm glad about because they do have really good abilities.
They've added the Wisp abilities from Sonic Colors.
Yeah.
You can drill into the ground.
And then you've got, like, it seems like they've updated combat. You've got these melee attacks. You've got a bow now. And then they showed an NPC at one point, and just everything looks better. And also minecarts.
That's true. I can't think of a single game that isn't improved by a minecart, so I'm glad to see them in Ori. I'm quite excited for that new Halo game, whatever that's going to be. But we didn't see enough of it. We just saw...
I mean, it was a cute little trailer. Promising.
They added deer to it. I'm typing a script at the moment about this Halo, and like the main thing that I mentioned in it was that the Halo games need more alien species in them. My favorite ones in Halo 5 are when you go to the Elite's home planet, and they've got these giant bowling ball sized bugs that don't do anything, but they're just big old fat bugs that just wander around on the floor, and it's like, this is great.
Yeah, that was one of the weird things when playing Reach. You get to the, I think, second level mission? I don't know. And there's this big, giant, hulking, brutish guy. Like, I don't know what he is. He's tearing up all the enemies, and you're like, oh god, I'm going to have to fight loads of these. You fight one of them, I think, or two maybe.
That's right. They're like kind of slightly hunched over ogres or something.
Yeah.
And then the game is like, don't engage with them, just leave them be. And
you just never deal with them again. They're just gone.
Yeah. And Reach is obviously they got the emus in it as well.
The mowers are great.
Yeah.
But Halo Infinite. Back on the Halo ring.
Cool. They're going back finally, even though 4 out of 5 games are set on a Halo. They're going back to a Halo.
Everyone's been thinking maybe open world, and the way the trailer was framed is very possible.
Yeah, I quite like. They've made the chief less detailed looking. They've kind of simplified the design, which has always been kind of an issue with Halo 5 and 4. So I'll be interested to see how the rest of the game looks. But yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, all looks very good.
Yes. Who was next?
So
we can kind of quickly
Bethesda.
go through Bethesda. Yeah.
Highlight Fallout 76, really.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to think of it. I mean, it could be alright, but I'm not a massive fan of online-driven stuff anyways. So.
I kind of liked it. I just kind of find the idea of wandering around the wasteland and coming across another player, and you don't really know what type of player they are.
Yeah, it seems a little bit like Rust, where your experience is going to be completely down to who else you're playing it with. Sea of Thieves is the same thing, is that you kind of have to find a good groove of people to make it work, because people is what makes it work. But they announced new Doom. They didn't show anything apart from a trailer, but that'll be good.
It's promising.
And new Wolfenstein spin-off as well, which could be good too. So.
Prey DLC, that's good, I think. I've heard.
Yes, I haven't downloaded it yet, but once the boss has paid me at the end of this working month, I will probably put some money towards it and see what that's like.
And that Rage 2 gameplay looked pretty good, I think.
Yes, they got out Andrew WK to whip the audience into a frenzy, and every time they kept cutting the camera to him, they looked like the most miserable people on earth. It was not a good look.
And then Devolver had one highlight, which was My Friend Pedro. Have you seen the game?
I have seen My Friend Pedro. It looks very good.
It's so
not
bizarre.
only did they show off that, but they also showed off From Software's...
Oh yeah, Metal Wolf Chaos.
Metal Wolf Chaos. Mac American Grace again.
Devolver are an interesting company. They're very fun.
I've quite liked what they've done the past few years. There's always been quite entertaining. I feel like they may have some competition in the likes of limited run games. I don't know whether you saw their conference.
I didn't even realise it happened.
It wasn't a very good conference because it was like they were re-announcing games that have either been out for a few months or a few years, but basically just announcing physical releases for them. But the way that they did it was quite amazing. They used a bit of like cheap 3D software where it was like a crappy CGI conference room with fake audience members in it, and then they basically made members of their team stand against green screen, and they comped them in as flat planes. And then they had like an orchestra, but it was just kind of like 3D floating objects that just tooted and booted behind them. It was quite good.
Yeah, this I'll have to watch this later because
it's worth a watch.
I think Devolver going forward should maybe like fill it with some more announcements to make it more like interesting to the general gaming public, but also have their commentary on the current art stuff as well. Just a better mix of both, I think would be nice.
Yeah, if they decide to make it a bit weirder next year as well, I think that'd be appreciated. I mean, it's quite hard to follow up from last year, considering that nobody really knew what to expect. But it was, I feel like what they did manage this year was pretty impressive.
Is there anything from Ubisoft you wanted to, or Square Enix? I guess they happened.
Well, Square Enix they didn't show any of Final Fantasy VII. They showed a little bit of Kingdom Hearts 3, but it was what we already saw at the Microsoft conference.
Ratatouille is in it. It's just like, oh, cool.
Yeah. Tomb Raider 3. This is the one where she finally becomes the Tomb Raider, the one we've all been waiting for.
Babylon's Fall looked interesting. I wish we saw gameplay though.
Yes, and Platinum's new game as well. It would be nice to not see some gameplay.
I think it's weird when people announce new IPs with nothing but a CGI trailer because we don't really know what to go off of.
And the CGI trailer was quite weird anyways, because it was like they were going through like a 1,000-year time period. So it's like, well, okay, is this game set over the course of 1,000 years, or is time like a big part of it or something? So it'll be interesting to see what comes of that, I reckon. So Ubisoft, nothing massive that they announced that I was particularly interested in. Adding Star Fox to Starlink is kind of alright, but that's about it. They got Miyamoto out again like they did last year. There was no Crying Man though, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was the Trials guy that fell onto the podium, which was kind of funny.
That's right. The big boy slipped, and that was.
Oh, it's more of a trip.
Yeah, I guess it was more of a trip, but some people would say a slip.
Yeah, about 6 people, I don't imagine. But anyway, yeah, it was good. They showed some stuff.
But I think Sony is probably the bigger one that we want to talk about.
Yeah, Sony was weird because of how they did it.
I would say that the thing that was the big theme for this year's E3 was awkward musical interludes.
Well,
and Sony had a bunch of them.
Yeah, they had those, and they also had the whole, we're in a church now. Okay, now please leave the church and actually go to where we're doing the thing. Here's 20 minutes of people talking. It
was a bit like being in a museum, but it was all done through projectors. Where we're in a barn now. Okay, now leave the barn. Now we're here. Okay, now leave here. We're going here. It was just a bit messy as a conference. But what they showed off, I mean, Last of Us 2 could be alright. I mean, the first one's pretty good, so I don't see they couldn't wouldn't mess this one up.
Play The Last of Us, but I mean, it looked like The Last of Us more of.
It did. It looked like a Sony third-person shooter set in the post-apocalypse.
They were nice in details, though.
No, it looked very good. Animation was very good as well. Lots of games getting really realistic looking, which is pretty great. Speaking of which, well, I don't know whether to mention it now or whether this was the game that you wanted to talk about. Probably
it's not. Mine's from
Resident
Microsoft.
Evil 2.
Oh, Resident Evil 2 looks amazing.
It looks fantastic, and I think the thing that I'm very excited about is that it looks almost like they're carrying on from how they did RE7. So, kind of in gameplay demos and stuff, they all the rendering looks like everything's been scanned photos and 3D objects, which is great, and kind of how you interact with the world as well looks like RE7. So yeah, I'm massively behind it.
I'm all over the dismemberment mechanics, shooting a body part until it falls off. That's just so satisfying, it seems.
I mean, it's cool. I saw a clip of somebody getting a headshot on an enemy, but it still attacks you.
And then it just falls over.
Yeah.
I was admittedly a little disappointed when there was the rat running around. I was like, oh cool, we're gonna get a game where we get to play as a rat. And then the rat kind of got crushed.
The rat could be part of it. The rat might solve a puzzle at the beginning,
maybe.
Which could, maybe.
I do want a game where we play as a rat though, please.
I feel like there is a game where you play as a rat. I'll have a look.
It's called Ratatouille, the video game. It's not very good.
Yeah, Ratatouille's Revenge. And then finally wrapping everything up is Nintendo.
Oh, do you not want to mention Death Stranding?
Oh yes, I totally forgot about Death Stranding. They finally showed off gameplay for Death Stranding, and it's a pizza delivery simulator. It's great.
I mean, I thought we'd come out with this trailer and I'd know a little more about the game, and I guess if you look into it hard enough, you will. But I just don't.
I suppose the thing that I appreciated was that at no point in that trailer did he pull out a gun, which I think a lot of people were considering it's Kojima and he's coming off Metal Gear Solid 5 and Sony, who have they've done quite a lot of third-person shooters recently. It looked like it was a bit more exploratory. I mean, I don't think it's going to be well, actually, I don't know. I mean, it could take some cues from something like Breath of the Wild, where it's more about discovering stuff in the environment, but I don't know. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see, really.
I think it was a bold move to have a 15-second clip of a lady eating a bug, with every every individual jaw movement being visible. That's a very Kojima thing to do.
I'd like to know some of his decisions as well, because obviously he's put his pals Guillermo del Toro and he's put Norman Reedus in it. He's put the guy from Hannibal in it because he's a fan of him. But then he's put in the Bionic Woman from the 70s, and she looks like she did in the 70s. And then they had interviews with her, and there she is as she looks in the normal day. And it's like, oh, okay, so what's the idea with this? Is this going to be an old lady, then a young lady, or what?
Yeah, it was good.
It it was interesting.
Yeah,
so
interesting.
I'm a bit more excited about it than I was previously.
Yeah.
I thought this was just going to be trailers forever. Still haven't got a date for it yet, though.
No.
So.
And then Nintendo, or basically
the Smash
Bros.
Brothers conference. Yes,
Everyone's
here.
I'd like to just quickly put a quick word in for the new Xenoblade DLC, and to onlookers, it might not look like anything, but it's prequel DLC, and it's really exciting for people who have played it. And I'll just say that much, not to confuse.
What is cool about it?
I mean, it's like I think 200 years before the game takes place. You're exploring areas that have like long since fallen, and you only see the remnants of them in the game.
So was this like big story DLC then?
Yeah, like massive story DLC. It looks like.
Because I saw that you could download it as a separate game. You didn't have to have Xenoblade 2 for it, which is quite cool.
Yeah, but yeah, Smash Bros.
Everybody's here.
Yeah,
Snake's back. Ice Climbers, they're back. Everybody's back.
Big Boy's in the game. Yeah,
Ridley. Big Boy. That's true.
I mean, I wasn't like I was team Ridley's too big, mostly because there are better Metroid reps, and I'll still continue to say that. But seeing him in the game is great. Still,
it did make me think though when people mentioned it that there's only one Metroid rep, and it's kind of true. I mean, Mario has like nearly eight members of the cast, so they're all from Mario games, and then Zelda's got 3 members of the cast, and also 2 variations on Link and plus Sheik. So everybody kind of has 2 to 3 characters per franchise, apart from Metroid. So I suppose this kind of evens the numbers a little bit more.
Yeah. I would like to see Rundus or Silux in the game, but I'm fine with Ridley.
I feel like they need to do some of them in Metroid Prime 4 before that happens.
Yeah, I reckon Silux will show up in that game, but we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, so I think that's all the conferences. So I think kind of overall, it was an okay E3.
Yeah.
I think there was some really big announcements, but then I would say that there was a lot of announcements where it was just kind of like, it wasn't too bad. Microsoft, I think, had the better conference for me as well, just in regards to what they showed and what they said. So.
There was so much at that conference. You think about, there weren't many exclusives, and maybe Microsoft isn't doing great still. But
I felt like they put on a better show.
Yeah,
I mean, like there was
exciting.
stuff there which, like even stuff that I wouldn't have cared about before, like Dying Light 2. But they had Chris Avellone out, like the guy who wrote
that looked really good.
Like some of he wrote like a ton of classic Obsidian games like Baldur's Gate and stuff. So, just knowing that he's putting his creative writing talents on that project is something exciting. And even like Devil May Cry 5.
I was about to mention that looks cool.
Something to be very. I mean, it looks really good. Like they're using that RE7 engine for just bonkers stuff. So
what was your game of the show?
I feel like my game of the show is probably the same as your game of the show, which is
Sekiro.
Sekiro. Shadows Die Twice.
Yes.
What a new game from. Yes, the new From Software game. The people who brought us Dark Souls and The Adventures of Cookie and Cream. So.
Yeah, it just looks, I don't know, phenomenal.
It looks great. It looks like they're going to take what they learned making Dark Souls games for the past few years and apply it to a more focused action game, and I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, the grappling hook looks really awesome. I love the shield he uses that is actually his hat. There's just the fact that they've announced that it's going to be a more open game like the original Dark Souls is very exciting to me, and everything about it just sounds great. No multiplayer, which is kind of I used to play multiplayer, but I also don't care at the same time because
no, exactly. I mean,
I care about the single player experience more.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, always it'd be interesting. Like, I'd like to get my hands on the game to find out why there isn't a kind of a proper PvP element to it. But as I said, I think considering their track record so far, I would like to see what they can do when applied to a more focused thing. Because I mean, obviously, like the Dark Souls games are all very good. I think the first one's still my favorite, and I would say that of the later ones, they all kind of either got a bit too big or a bit too more of the same. So I think switching tracks to something else could be something really good for them.
Yeah, I kind of hope From keeps up this trend of we're going to keep making new games. We're not going to when there's no Bloodborne 2, but there's a game. I just like the idea of seeing what From can do with lots of settings. But clearly people
too,
loved the setting of Bloodborne, and I think they can do that with other types of settings as well.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely agree with you. So, I believe that's out in 2019?
Yep.
So, yeah, that'll be
not too long to wait.
No, that will be something to look forward to in the next year. And I believe with that, I think we're at the end of our coffee break. So
I just heard the alarm.
Probably get back to hitting the X button and see what happens.
Okay. Alright. That was a nice coffee break.
Had a lot of coffee during that break.
Yeah. Now back to making games. The fun part.
Yes. We are back to figuring out X, the game. X, gonna give it to you. The game. Do you know who DMX is?
DMX.
He's not like a BMX, by the way.
Okay.
By the way, what does BMX stand for?
Bike Man.
Bike
Extreme.
Mountain Extreme. I'm sure it does stand for something. Could this be what our game's about?
Trying to figure out what BMX stands for?
Yeah.
So it could be.
So not only is it a BMX game where you do BMX stunts, but it's also like a philosophical game where you try to figure out what it really means to be BMX.
What is BMX?
That's the answer that the player will find out at the end of the game.
And just because we need to make it begin with X, we can just be XMB because BMX is a boring title anyway.
Oh no! Oh yeah! No, there we go. Cross Media Bar XMB. It's a game where you play as the Cross Media Bar from the PS3, but you use it like a BMX.
Yeah. Okay.
And then your arch nemesis is DMX, the rapper, who tries to stop. He's basically he's like your Dark Link. He's your doppelganger. He's trying to stop you at every stage. He knows all your tricks.
Okay.
And he's trying to stop the action from happening.
And you go off you get these. There's probably 3 battles with him where you have to outbike him.
Yes.
At the same time, he's posing lots of philosophical questions about BMXing to you.
Yes.
And
it's like the end of Banjo-Kazooie. Is that you'll do a little bit of bike stunts and then it'll stop and you'll do a quiz, a philosophical quiz.
There will be cameos from all the greatest philosophers. Those will be the main bosses as well, DMX as well. But then you've got Aristotle, you've got
Socrates,
Heraclitus. You've got all these great Greek philosophers, and they are going to be riding BMXs, and they're going to be your main enemies. There'll be a league of philosophers or something.
The League of Philosophizing BMX is bouncing I can get behind that.
So can I. I'd like to play this game.
I feel like I would like to play this game as well. And then at the end, obviously, you find out that what BMX really meant, it didn't really mean anything. What it meant was the friends that you made along the way.
Yeah, you got to get that in there somewhere.
And it turns out that you were the BMX all along, and your avatar and the bike, they both merge into one super being, which also just looks like a bike but glows.
Yeah, really bright, shiny.
Yes, I agree. I think this could work really well. Can you think of any other X words?
Well, you've got X-Men.
Have they made any X-Men games yet?
I mean, probably, but no one cares enough to
Could we
play
I'm
them.
trying to think if I have a particular favourite X-Men game. I don't know if I do. I quite like X-Men Orange's Tangerine, the tie-in game to the film, because it's kind of like a sort of a soft God of War game, but the way that it works is that you have this... It's one of those really annoying games, kind of like Batman Arkham Asylum, where the special move that they show in all the trailers is one that you don't get at the beginning of the game. It's one that you have to unlock. And they always kind of push you to say, oh, this is the first move that you should unlock. And X-Men Oranges has the same thing, and it's one where Wolverine can dive forward with his claws out to attack enemies.
Right.
And you need this move because, you know, like in Sonic Adventure, where you do a homing dash off different enemies like a bridge. You do the same thing as Wolverine.
Does he curl up into a ball?
I don't think you do. I can't remember you doing that.
That's fine,
I can't remember if that's Wolverine's thing. I think Wolverine's thing is being a big Wolverine, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
Could we have an X-Men educational game where we try and explain to people who the X-Men are and what their abilities are?
I mean, we could do that. That might as well be a film, though. I think...
Yeah, but...
What if we had a game where different X-Men had to learn how to play the xylophone? And...
Could they play the xylophone with their different abilities?
They could. I think it'd be very difficult. Like, the final level would be Wolverine, because how would you play a xylophone with those claws?
Oh no, these claws are the xylophone.
I guess so. But do they make the same resounding noise that you need?
They do, but there's only 3 on each hand, so you can only do 6 notes. So you can only do very simple songs like row, row, row your boat and stuff like that. But Professor X, like, he's there, he's moving them with his mind, so he can do some advanced stuff. Cyclops, he can shoot the xylophone keys with his heat vision, and that makes a pretty good noise.
Yeah, but you've got to be careful, because if you shoot them hard enough, they will go bye-bye.
Oh no, I was thinking if you hit them too hard, then they'll refract at a certain angle, and that could burn somebody.
We could have a Deadpool cameo in there. I know he's not an X-Man, but...
He's part of the X-Men. I don't know.
You fit him in there somewhere.
He's a bit of a random character.
Kids go crazy for him.
Kids love Deadpool. I don't get it. Them kids, they can't get enough of him. I saw a child the other day, and all they wanted to talk about was Deadpool. I tried to stop them as hard as I could, but unfortunately, they just kept going and going.
You tried to change the subject. You were like, "Hey, how about we talk about xylophones?" Nope. They just kept going. They couldn't stop.
Literally couldn't stop him. He just went on as hard as he could. When he left, I don't even think he stopped talking about it.
Some say he's still going to this day.
No, I believe that his name is now John Deadpool, because that's how much he likes him.
Okay. So I was thinking of names, X names, and I was just thinking my favourite Persian emperor, Xerxes.
Yes, the famous character from the fictional Greek period, famously recreated in 300, the Zack Snyder film.
It obviously didn't happen in real life, because that's ridiculous.
No, exactly. There was no such place called Greece in real life, because why would you name a place after a musical? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I remember, I can't remember that well. Xerxes' portrayal in that movie was strange.
He was like an 8-foot tall man or something.
Yeah.
He was like covered in gold chains and stuff.
I mean, I read about him in the books, like the 300 book, you know, and he wasn't depicted as being that tall, but what if you were this just really tall man that ruled over a fake place called Persia?
Did you ever play Doshin the Giant on the GameCube?
I didn't, but I know about it.
I think what we could do is that we could have a game set in ancient Greece where you play as Xerxes, who's this giant man, and who can solve stuff out with his giant size. So say somebody's like robbing a bank, you can pick him up and you can like place him directly in jail. If somebody's having trouble like getting a cat out of a tree, you can just pick the cat out, put him down. Like Black and White, the Peter Molyneux game.
Could you have a morality system in this game? Like, you could pick the guy up and put him in jail, or you could just crush him. Or
like Black and White. Yeah, that'd be the way to do it. Yeah,
you could pick him up or put him in a bigger bank.
Ooh, yeah. Oh no, that's like, so like bad is crushing him, but really bad is like helping him cause bigger crimes.
Well, I feel like not crushing him is neutral. It's like, well, it's you've solved one bad problem, but you've also replaced it with another bad problem.
No, exactly. If anything, it makes you look a little bit vindictive because you couldn't solve a problem without resorting to violence.
Yeah.
Versus...
There's a long travel time to get to the jail.
Yeah, exactly. Versus, say, if you're helping him, like, not just rob a bank, but literally rob and, like, just pick the bank up by its foundations and just carry it off, and that's even worse. Like, rather than helping a cat out of a tree, you're literally just pouring cats into a tree. Like, just hundreds of them.
And you also have an army, like Pikmin. You have an army of characters you can use, the Persians, that will do anything at your bidding. You can literally just throw them at things because clearly there were so many of them.
I was thinking throwing, but then I was also thinking like Mario Galaxy when you can point the pointer at the screen and hold the A button and then star bits come out.
Yeah.
But with Persians.
Yeah, I mean if 300 told me anything, there were like, for one Spartan, there were about 10,000 Persians, approximately.
From what I remember as well, if you collect 100 Persians, that's a one-up as well, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. So, are there like 300 little men that are constantly bothering you in
Well, the
this
300
game?
men are the ones who are causing all the problems. There's 300 problems that you need to go and solve. And one of them is a cat up in a tree, one of them is robbing a bank, one of them is like helping an old lady cross the road and all that stuff. And like for every problem you solve, that's a Spartan.
Mm-hmm.
And then at like certain bits, like if you fix 99 problems, then that's an achievement where it says 99 problems, but like the Jay-Z song.
Yeah. 99 problems, but the Spartans ain't one.
Yeah, Spartans ain't one, exactly. 200. If you get to 299, that might unlock the final boss, who's the big Spartan.
Yeah,
who's like
Spartacus.
Spartacus, who isn't as big as Xerxes though. He's like maybe a size and a half more than the regular Spartans, but he's still a bit of a slippery customer.
Yeah, because you try and you shoot lots of arrows at him to blot out the sun and everything, but he puts on some sunglasses.
I got a quick question to ask though. What platform are we going to put this on?
The Nintendo Wii. They don't make games anymore.
Not on the PlayStation or the Xbox as well.
I guess we could. I mean, if Just Dance taught me anything, it's that we should still be developing games for the Wii.
No, I think so. I mean, the Wii U, he had a minute, but I think he's going to make a comeback any second now. But the only reason I ask is because what's the X button going to do? Because I don't know whether you've looked at the controller recently. But...
Wait, let me just... Okay, I've got a Switch in my hand. Where is it?
So on a PlayStation controller, X is at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
On a 360 controller, the X is on the right.
Okay.
And then I believe on a Switch controller, the X is on the top.
Ooh, there it is. Yep, seen it. Okay.
And then I have seen some consoles as well which have X on the right-hand side.
Ooh, what?
On the keyboard, the X button's on the bottom row next to Z and C.
Oh, why would they put that there?
Exactly. So, X feels a little bit all over the place, if you ask me.
So... Okay, yeah.
Because obviously on a PlayStation, your X button, that's like your jump button. That's like your big button. That's the important button. But then on every other console, that's your A button. Yeah. But on every other console, that's your A button.
Mm-hmm.
And in Japan, that's the cancel button on a PlayStation. That's the bad button.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm thinking. We need to make a game that educates people about what the X button does. Because, as our boss said, we need a game that starts with X. And how else do you start with X without literally starting with X, as in the X on the controller?
X button.
Exactly. We can build a game where you have to plug all the controllers in, and then all the prompts are press the X button. And sometimes it's the X button on the PlayStation, sometimes it's the X button on the Xbox, sometimes it's the X key on a keyboard.
This is going to cost a lot. We're going to need to develop a new console that implements all the controllers.
That's okay. We let the eggheads figure that one out.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking this is something that could change the world, like the Bird game did, but better.
Yeah, we're gonna bring gamers together this time.
We are gonna bring games are about bringing people together. Gamers are the most creative people on the planet.
Yeah,
they can solve any problem
and cause any problem.
They sometimes cause any problems, but they mostly solve many problems. They have been to the farthest reaches of space. They fought literal gods. They've
Mm-hmm.
made lines of bricks and then made them disappear. There's nothing that they cannot do.
Yeah, I saw one gamer. He did a 360 no scope, and I haven't ever seen anyone else do that.
Like an Xbox 360 no scope.
Ah.
Like their 360 didn't have a scope on it.
Now, yeah, what is a scope? Is that a Kinect? Is that just a fancy word for Kinect?
I assume scope as in like the scope of the project, like how big is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. This project has no scope.
I mean, the Xbox One X clearly didn't have a scope. They just went
No,
more
that is
powerful
very
and
true.
more powerful with that thing.
Hey, the less said about the Xbox One, the better. We do not judge up sad memories like that. So what I'm thinking is that one way that we could help bring gamers together is with our X game. We could literally call it the X Games. Nothing to do with the Extreme Sports franchise, the X Games. This is a different X game.
And it involves
5 different kinds of controllers. We could get every controller involved. Any controller that has ever had an X button on it, we can get them involved.
Could we maybe get some new controllers that have like X buttons fashioned onto them? We can take the Wii Remote and Nunchuk, slot in an X button somewhere on it.
We could replace whole control sticks with big X buttons. We could have D-pads where we just rotate them 45 degrees clockwise so they turn into big X's.
If you have lots of X buttons, you've got like 8 controllers in front of you, and to move, you've got 4 X buttons. One's up, one's down, one's left, one's right. You've got to know which one's which, and you've got to press them all. And it's an 8-player game. You've got one person on each controller, and all you're assigned to do is press the X button when you need to.
Yes.
And it brings all the gamers together.
Yeah, there we go. See, we figured it out. This is a game that people, I think, because I don't think you should have. We don't need to put prompts on a controller, anyways. I mean, people should just look at the shape and they should understand it. So if every button was the X button, if every button was the X button, we wouldn't have to worry about getting people up to speed with games. If they started playing Metal Gear Solid and they didn't know how to move forward, it doesn't matter. Just press X or move you forward.
Eventually.
If they don't know how. If they don't know how to shoot an enemy, just press the X button. It will do it for you.
Yeah.
By having a controller which is literally just a big X button, we can have these games designed for everyone, where they can achieve anything just by pressing the X button.
There's also a lot of logo potential here. When you see X buttons on covers, like I'm thinking Monster Hunter Cross, as it was called in Japan.
We have like X button cross the cross button. We could fight against the PlayStation cross button. I think we can make this work.
Yeah.
What kind of... How would it work? What kind of console would this be, though, where it's all built around the
just a big
letter X? You don't think it should be like some kind of shape, like
shaped like an X,
cube or a rectangle?
Well,
or
no,
a square?
I'm just imagining a 3D X.
Oh, yeah. Like you just put it in your living room, like it looks over you like a monolith. Just kind of inspires you with the power of X. You feel like Vin Diesel does in the Triple X films, because he has 3 of those in his house.
Yeah.
He prays to them every morning, like they're his gods.
Well, they're all 3 are different colours, and they all speak. Yeah,
you have the red X, the green X, and the blue X, and they're all like the green X created the lands, the blue X created the seas, and the red X created life
and lava.
Just and lava, I suppose, as well.
Could we also implement like connects into these X's or connects? And the only way to actually activate the connects is to make an X shape with your body,
or make an X shape out of connects.
Ooh, it's a lot of. It's very pricey, but
I feel like sometimes the best ideas are like you need to craft a world around. You just need to get people up to speed on the idea, and if that means throwing a little bit of money at it, then so be it.
Do you think we could call it the Xbox? That name hasn't been used before, has it?
No, I don't think it's been used before. I can't remember what controller I mentioned which had the X button on the left, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't the Xbox.
No.
So yeah, I think we can call this the Xbox.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
Yes.
The best console ever.
I feel like that's true. I feel like this is the one console you'll only ever need to buy. I feel like we should call it the Xbox One.
Yes, that's perfect. The one, like... Oh,
Can we write this name down? Because I think this is going to be the one that... I think this is what the boss wants. I think he wants the Xbox One.
Yeah. We'll send him a letter with all this info in.
Okay.
If he needs something to play Scrabble with, we'll just have, like... Show him one of our game ideas. Which one do you want to work on first?
I think let's get this Xbox One cracked down.
Okay.
I think that's the most important one. I'll go grab a stamp from the post office and we'll.
I think we need a launch title though.
What for the Xbox One?
Yeah, we need what game today have we come up with that we should package with every Xbox One console?
I feel like we could combine some of these ideas together.
Yeah.
Because what did we have? So we came up with Xylophone and X-Ray. We came up with
Xylophone Surgery.
Tarragon Xylos, the cooking detective.
Yeah. We had the game where you were stopping people from skateboarding.
That's true. The anti-Tony Hawk game. That is very true.
And then we had the BMX game.
We did, and then we also had a game about Xerxes, the Greek ruler.
Oh, and Xenomorph Dating and
Xenomorph
X-Men.
Dating.
Lots of stuff. We can all of these.
I feel like
let's just do all of them.
We could take the Greek element of Xerxes. We could take the fighting element of the anti-Tony Hawk game. We could take maybe the graphics and ideas that we were thinking of for Tarragon Xylos.
Okay.
Maybe combine them together into some sort of Roman action game in the style of God of War.
You play as a xenomorph.
Yeah, maybe.
You use a xylophone to attack your enemies.
I'm thinking of a name.
Okay.
Rise, Son of Rome for the Xbox One. Do you think that could sell the console?
That's good. Rise, Son of Rome.
Right. I know it hasn't got the letter X in it.
Well, we could put an X at the start and just have it be silent.
We could. I think that would just.
So
in case
if we just put the Xbox logo on there, every game could start with X then.
I think just in case there's any other game that's got that name, I think that could. I don't think that would be an issue then. Okay. Not that there is any other game that I can think of that does have that name.
And when we make a new Xbox One, we could call it the Xbox One X.
Oh yeah, because we're adding more X's to it, aren't we?
It'd be just like another X on top.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh.
So the Xbox One, this is a good console, and we got some great exclusives probably coming soon.
We got some pretty banging exclusives coming out for it. I think we better start crafting that email then.
Well, we should send a letter to his home because he's in the middle of a Scrabble game.
No, sorry. Is there any way of writing an email and then sending it as... I don't know. It would have to be some kind of non-electronic email. Is there a name for that?
Fax?
Fax.
I think
we'll figure out a fax for him. All right, let's get cracking.
Yeah, I think we're good now.
Good.
No, I'll quickly just say, follow us on Twitter. I mean, you can follow us personally. I'm at MyersCodex, MyersCodex.
And I am at Hotcider, HOTCYDER.
And we also have a Twitter account for the podcast now, which is at Game Overtime, but it's game__overtime. You'll figure it out.
Remember those double underscores, otherwise I'll send you to a different Twitter account.
Yes, it is not ours.
No. I imagine we will probably be putting these links in the description of the podcast and the YouTube video, so that's pretty good. Okay, I think we have a closing line, don't we? So
yes. Omne opus non ludere.
Which I believe is Latin for X gonna give it to you, and we will hopefully give it to you again in a fortnight. Thank you for listening.